So before I get deep into the main topic of this video, I've got two really big announcements to tell you about. The first is that we have finally released Solo version 2. So version 2 of my Fretboard Visualization app. This is super exciting. We've been working on this for a long time. Some of you guys might have noticed we hadn't put any updates out for a while, and that's because we've been working so hard on version 2 and it's taken quite a while to put together. Basically, this new version, we've got two new trainers making the app much more accessible for beginner and intermediate players. So we've got the note trainer, which allows you to work on visualizing note names, or what we call root notes within the app. And then we've got the interval trainer. And the interval trainer allows you to work on any customized set of intervals that you want to work on. You can work on a single interval or multiple intervals. And both of these have got interactive fretboard diagrams built in to the trainers that react to what you play. So you can kind of figure out where the intervals are, you can study those and they'll appear on screen as you play through them. We've also added in duration-based workouts, so now you can actually craft the exact amount of practice time that you want out of the app. And we've got a whole bunch of new songs and exercises, tons of new jazz standards. There's a whole bunch of other features in there for the new version, and this is actually a completely free update for all existing iOS, iPadOS and Mac users if you're on an Apple Silicon Mac. So if you've already got the app, go and download the new version. It's completely free to you, available now. If you don't have Solo, well, now's a great time to jump in because, as I say, we've lowered that barrier to entry, and it's probably the most powerful visualization, sort of fretboard visualization practice tool out there. I would say that, but I really do think it is. So go and check that out, guys. Now, the other massive announcement, and that's related to this video, is that David Beebee and I, so David is the co-creator of Solo with me, amazing guitar player, go check out his content, I'll leave a link down below. We've just released our Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course, and this has been a year in the making. It's taken a lot of work, but this course basically takes you through what we call the 2-point system. And that's something I'm going to talk about in this video a little bit. And it's the culmination of over a decade of work thinking about the fretboard for me, and more recently, fine-tuning those ideas with some of the great things that David's come up with for standard tuning. And this course is basically a really high quality, over 5-hour video course that takes you right through the 2-point system, our modern, efficient alternative to like the cage system or 3-note per string or pentatonic boxes, and guides you right from first principles all the way through to basically mastering the fretboard and being able to visualize anything, anywhere, incredibly efficiently. So that course is available now, but not only that, we also crafted an entire guided practice routine using the power of Solo version 2 as part of the course. And I think this is quite unique. I don't think this has ever existed before, where there's been a course that comes with this idea of a fully guided practice routine using a very powerful app. And we've created both of these things so they're tailored to work together. So if you want to check that out, I think it's fantastic. We're running a promotional launch period for NAMM. David and I are at NAMM right now if you're watching this video on the launch day. And that code, NAMM50, is going to get you a good discount off the price of the course initially. So go check that out. If you go to the2pointsystem.com, you can check out the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course and see what the 2-point system is all about. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit related to that about why guitar players find fretboard visualization so difficult, why I found fretboard visualization so difficult when I was not even first learning. Actually, when I was first learning, I found it easy, but as I got more into it, the difficulty level kind of ramped up. So let's talk about that now and try and explain why fretboard visualization is so tricky for guitar players. So this instrument is amazing for beginners, provided you've got a little bit of technique and have got through that kind of pain barrier with the fingers. The calluses are built up. And the reason for that is it's so shape-based. So basically, if somebody shows you a scale shape, let's say really simple, like minor pentatonic. If somebody shows you that and you've got a little bit of technique, you only need the shape to be able to start making music straight away. And this is basically how we're taught to visualize on this instrument from a very early stage, even all the way up to more advanced kind of learning and application of fretboard knowledge. We learn these large fixed 6 or 5 string shapes that cover multiple octaves with maybe up to 18 notes in. And they're great because in the beginning stages, when you first learn a scale, they give you a whole bunch of notes to play, And all you need to do is focus on finding the notes in that shape. But what you're not doing is you're not necessarily thinking about targeting certain notes in the way that they relate to the harmony that you're playing over. So most guitar players, when they play a minor pentatonic scale, they don't think 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, so on and so forth. They just play the shape. And that's great because, again, it gives you immediate access to music. And you've got fingerings and licks that you can learn. There's a reason why those licks exist as kind of physical shapes. And that's all great because you get this amazing learning experience at the beginning of the visualization process where you get very quick progress to playing music and very little frustration. So it's really, really rewarding. So in a way, the visualization process for guitar players is kind of front-loaded to reward very quickly. And that's really good because it keeps people interested, and you need that. You certainly do. However, as soon as you start to think about targeting chord tones, targeting extensions like the 9th or the 11th or the 13th, outlining the chords in a chord progression, playing through chord changes, thinking about melodic minor harmony or diminished scale harmony, all of these things that have become quite common in the guitar world now and very popular, these large shapes start to really become a hindrance. And suddenly you get this massive difficulty spike where it becomes really difficult within these large structures, whether it's 3-note per string, cage system, whatever system you're using, pentatonic boxes, to identify within the large structures where all the notes that you need, say the 3rd, the 5th, the 9th, the 11th, you're targeting certain things, where they are within the larger structure. And this was something I found very quickly when I went to jazz college. Someone would say to me like, okay, play through Autumn Leaves and outline the 3rds and the 7ths. So I'd sit there and I'd be like, okay, well, I know the chord progression and I can see my scales. So maybe I did this. So on and so forth. I could play through the 3-note per string scales or caged boxes. But identifying the 3rds and the 7ths was something that took me a lot longer because I was trying to identify them within a large structure. And that's really, really difficult. All my visualization was happening on the lowest string or the A string, the E or the A, and I was visualizing up from that lowest note, and it took a long time and it was painful. And at times I felt really stupid, like, I can play these scales, I can play the arpeggios. Why can't I find these notes in real time whilst I'm improvising? It's ridiculous. And I found myself, and this is something I'm sure you guys will really be familiar with, playing through the scales when I was improvising, just because that was my fallback. That was all I could do, was play the scales and the arpeggios, because I didn't have a system that allowed me to immediately find visually the 3rds and the 7ths. I could kind of hear them, but I couldn't see them. So to do this, what I'd have to do is learn that as a fixed large structure, almost like a lick or a riff. I couldn't do it all over the fretboard. It wasn't in real time, and it was very, very fixed in nature, because that's how I'd learnt the fretboard. It was a fixed entity. Here's a fixed large structure. That's the only way I knew how to manipulate the fretboard. So this is a problem because you get this massive difficulty and frustration spike, as I mentioned before. And at the time, no one was offering me any solutions for this. It was just like, just practice, just play the shapes, learn the shapes. There is a better solution. And I've been teaching this for quite a while, but recently, in discussions with David and thinking about this in standard tuning as opposed to just my 4ths tuning, we've kind of like systematized and rarefied this 2-point system, which is the way that now I'm thinking about the fretboard in a kind of, like, I can present this to you as a system that's kind of just as valid, if you like, as the 3 notes per string system or the cage system or whatever. This is a new, efficient, modern system that enables you to visualize the fretboard without that massive difficulty spike. It's got this linear progression, okay? So, how does this work? Well, the 2-point system basically utilizes the smallest possible visualization unit on the fretboard. As opposed to large shapes, we're thinking of the smallest possible shape, which is essentially a root note And then what does it look like to play from that root note to another given note within an octave? And the note that we're looking for is what we call an intervallic function. That's what we call it within solo as well. And an intervallic function is basically a scale degree or an extension or a chord tone that functions a certain way within that key or scale or chord or arpeggio. So it might be the 5, for example. What it isn't, it's not an interval distance. It's not like going up a fifth or up a minor sixth. It's a function, the way the note functions. And you guys have been doing this for years already. Think about a power chord. Let's take this C here. 3rd fret of the A string. If I play the 5, it's got a 2-point geometric shape going from the 1 to the 5, okay? That looks a certain way. And no matter where I place my C on the fretboard, it looks the same, okay? That 2-point geometric shape is basically what we call an intervallic function shape, or a 2-point intervallic function shape, hence the 2-point system. And you can do that for every single functional interval within music. So whether it's like the 3, the flat 3, the 6, the 5, the 7, the flat 7, the 11, the 9, the 13. And in the course, the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course, what we do is we show you all of these shapes and we teach you how to practice them using the power of solo in a really efficient way. And then we show you how to apply those shapes on the fretboard within loads of different scenarios, be it through chord changes, scales, thinking about outlining very basic harmony, more complex harmony, right up to basically being able to outline anything, anywhere on the fretboard. And this system is so efficient because you're only ever thinking about the smallest possible divisible unit of visualization, if you like, or music. How do I get from a root note to another note within a key or a scale? Not based on large structures that are very hard to manipulate, but on the fretboard, can I see those, the smallest divisible units of visualization possible, and manipulate even, I can't even manipulate my words, manipulate them in real time. So that is basically, really basically what the system is. And again, the reason I think that guitar players hit a brick wall with visualization is because the whole system is front loaded. Basically, we learn those shapes very quickly, these large structures, and then we find we can't manipulate them in real time because they're too big. And you end up with thousands of different shapes. If you've got 7 modes with 7 different positions, well, you can do the maths there. Then you've got to do that in all 12 keys, do the maths there. Then you've got to do it for melodic minor scale modes, harmonic minor scale modes if you're getting into that, harmonic major scale modes if you're into that kind of thing, diminished scales, whole tone scales. It just, well, to use a pun here, it just scales ridiculously. So the final thing I'll say on this is I like an analogy for this with the kind of allegory or the kind of saying, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, or teach a man to fish and he'll eat for the rest of his life. The way I think about the 2-point system is the latter. The 2-point system is like learning to fish, whereas the fixed large structures, well, they allow you an immediate in, which is like the satisfaction of immediately having a fish to eat, but they don't allow you to learn how to manipulate the fretboard in real time through chord changes, outlining things. You know, some people can do it, but in my experience, having taught many hundreds of guitar players at this point, most people, including myself, really struggle with it. So the 2-point system could well be the solution that you've been looking for. And I genuinely think it's the most efficient way to visualize the fretboard. So, as I mentioned, if you want to check out the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course, check out the link down below, go to the2pointsystem.com and you can check it out. Again, we're running the promo through NAMM, so you guys can get a good discount on the course for our launch period. It's been a huge amount of work and we really hope you find it useful because, as I mentioned, we're very proud of it, and Solo version 2 as well. Thank you to the many thousands of you who have checked out Solo at this point. We're very grateful and hope you find it very useful as a practice tool. We think you're going to love version 2. And as I say, hopefully you'll find the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization course great as well and useful in your playing. All right, guys, as ever, if you enjoyed the video or you found it useful, click the like and subscribe buttons as normal and hit the bell notification icon to be notified when I upload new content. I'm going to try and do much more for 2024. If you want to support me, again, check out the course, check out all my other courses on my own website, and you know, check out solo as well. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. My name's Tom Quayle. Go check out David Beebee's channel as well. Awesome guitar player and a great guy. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.